So we're ready to get started with our CD or our DVD label. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I actually want to get the almost like a template set up for the surface of our DVD or the surface of our CD, whatever it winds up being. And then after that, we'll actually start getting into the fun stuff, the design stuff, getting some graphics in there and maybe some text and things like this. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create the actual shape of a CD or a DVD disc, the actual disc itself. Now, there's a couple of different ways that I can go about doing this, but what I'm going to do first of all here is I'm going to switch inside my toolbox to my elliptical marquee tool. Go ahead and grab that guy. And make sure that you have your info palette open as well over on the right-hand side. Now, if you don't know, a CD or a DVD disc, in terms of the design label anyway, is going to be 116 millimeters across, right? So what I want to do essentially is create a selection that's 116 millimeters across, right? So what I could do, I suppose, is I could start clicking and dragging inside my document, something like this. And as I'm dragging out, I could keep my eye over inside the info palette. See over inside the info palette, about halfway down the info palette on the right-hand side, it says W and H, width and height. So what I could do is I could drag this out until I'm at 116 millimeters for both the width and the height. And you can see it's going to take a little bit of precision, right? And I'm kind of getting there, but I'm starting to run out of canvas inside my document, so I'd have to actually move my selection, this kind of thing. It's kind of a pain in the neck, isn't it? So, I mean, this is one way. I could try and set it up this way, but I'd love to show you a much faster way. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my selection here. I'm just going to hit Command D or Control D. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to my options bar running right across the top of the Photoshop interface. And from my style drop-down menu, I'm going to choose fixed size. And what I'll do here for the width and height, you guessed it, is type in 116 mm for millimeters. And then I'll just hit tab to move myself over to the height field. And I'll type in 116 millimeters. Enter to lock that in. Now the cool thing here is that when I bring my cursor now into my canvas, onto my Photoshop document, I'm not going to click and drag. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my cursor up towards the top left corner of my document and just single click. And I wind up getting a perfect circle. A perfect circle that's 116 millimeters. Perfect. So hopefully your circle didn't wind up, running off the edge of the canvas or, doing anything bizarre like this, right? But if it did, you can just kind of click inside your marching ants there and just kind of reposition this guy a little bit. Notice too, by the way, I'm glad this happened. Notice that I'm trying to position my marching ants in the sort of the center of my canvas just by eyeballing it. But my marching ants, my circle, is jumping to the left side of the document or to the right side of the document. See that? And same with the top and bottom. That's snapping. And this is a great example of where snapping drives me nuts. I just want the circle in the center of my layout. So what I could do here is I could head to my view menu and then down to snap to. Well, I guess I could turn off snapping entirely, but what I'll do here is I'll go snap to, and I'm going to uncheck document bounds. In other words, don't snap to the edges of my Photoshop file. And now I'm able to just creep that selection over to the right just a little bit, something like this. Perfect. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a new layer inside the Layers palette. So I'll click on my new layer icon down at the bottom of the Layers panel there. And what I want to do now is I want to fill this guy with a color so that I can actually see him. Now, the color that you actually use doesn't really matter here. I think what I'll do is I'll click on my foreground color swatch here down at the bottom of the Photoshop toolbox. And maybe what I'll use is just sort of a kind of a mid-gray, maybe something like this, and I'll click on OK. And then I want to fill my selection with this light gray. So what I'll do here is I'll hold down Option here on the Mac or Alt on the Windows side and hit my Delete key. And now I get my selection filled with the foreground color. just like this. All right, wonderful stuff. Let's go ahead and deselect Command D or Control D, and that's all there is to it. We're getting started here, but now the next thing that I want to do with you is I actually want to create the circle that appears in the middle of our disk, the hole, and we also have some other rings that go in the center of our layout as well, so we'll do that next.